Alright, it's recording. Oh,
Okay.
Hi! Are you gonna say hi? I don't know what to start it.
Hi, I'm Brooke, and this is my friend.
Tristan. I'm Tristan. And
So,
we are best friends that live far apart, and we missed hanging out together and watching things and discussing them and dissecting them and reviewing them, and so that's what we wanted to do today. We're faraway friends.
so today we will be looking at a Russian animation called.
It's a 1968 Little Mermaid. It's directed by Ivan Aksenchuk. I'm probably butchering that. I really like Russian animation. It's very different. It has a lot of flavor to it. This one looks like it has a lot of. It's like moving cut out pictures, and it's just really something cool to check out, like something to broaden our horizons. So that's about it. When we watch things, we watch them, we pause them, we talk about it if there's a lot to dissect. So just so you know that it's not going to be just straight through watch. So, do you have anything else to say, Brooke, or are you ready to start the video?
Do it.
Okay. This is my dog Zero. He's very needy right now. It was raining earlier, so. It was raining. Okay, here we go.
It's just a square or a rectangle.
I like that effect, though. It kind of makes them look like little bugs crawling around.
Like we're all ants.
We are on the face of the planet.
Are these like photos
They,
in the background?
it looked like some kind of like either cutout or photograph. I liked the effect, though.
This is the weirdest start to a.
It is. That's a photograph, you're right.
This is definitely the Little Mermaid. That's a photo, yeah.
Yeah. It is. This is how it starts out. It reminds me just slightly of like Monty Python's Flying Circus. If you've ever seen those animations.
Nope. I have seen. I'm just a bill sitting on Capitol Hill, and that looks like it.
That was Schoolhouse
What
Rock.
the fuck is going on?
It's
So
a
we have
very
touristy
long
people who are like obnoxiously touristy.
Look at that little babushka fish.
Перед вами, дамы и господа, знаменитая русалочка. Такая, как ее описал великий
She's a
Ганс Христиан
statue.
Андерсен в сказке о любви. Да-с, дамы и господа, в добрые старые времена, когда жил Ганс Христиан, существовала еще любовь. Эти глупые люди думают, что любовь есть, а русалок нет. Но мы-то с вами знаем.
So love doesn't exist, mermaids do though.
Любви нет,
It's funny. Wait,
а
pause it
русалок
real quick, maybe.
есть.
Sure.
Wow. I just like how you can tell that these tourists are supposed to be stupid before she even calls them stupid. They're like taking everything. They're being super obnoxious. Like they're throwing stuff into rivers.
So,
Alright, that was it. We can go back to Babushka fish.
1968. How long ago is that? Is that 42 years? Or no, that's 52 years.
68. So it's like 70. So, oh my god, this is 1920 or 2020.
What?
Yeah,
No.
50 years ago.
It's kind of funny then
Wow.
that even 50 years ago in Russia, like, tourists had a bad reputation. So, but alright, let's get back to it. If I can find it, Zero has displaced me a little bit.
Они живут на дне моря, в хрустальном дворце. А когда им исполняется 15 лет,
This
им разрешают подняться
is tell, not show.
повидать землю.
Uh-huh.
И только вот этой самой русалочке стукнуло, как говорится, 15.
Ooh.
Stall. Oh, I love how the ship rocks and then with like the little drawing on.
It looks like a cutout animation that they're moving. I don't know.
And then it looks to me like they're drawing on top.
Of the film. Like, they're, like, taking pictures of, like, moving this and then they're drawing on top of that.
I think so.
I don't know.
Oh
It's
shit, the ship
slightly-
is naked then. Ooh. It's like Dumbo. When he was like drugged up or something. Or whatever.
It has a little bit of old Disney feel to it. Alright, Zero, get down.
Mhm. 50 years old, older than us. Crazy.
I enjoy how everything is stylized, but it all fits together nicely. Stays consistent. Well, at least this part. The beginning part, maybe not so much.
It's so beautiful, the calligraphy. And I do like the birds. It's funny, like, so watching somebody else watch the, like the old 2013. You can pause it too, because it has nothing to do at this point, but
Oh, sorry.
if you want, I don't know.
Okay, keep going.
Watching, somebody watch the 2013 fashion show for Victoria's Secret, and they had this section about exotic birds, and they had a little title pop up, and they had exotic birds come across the screen. I thought they were totally 2D. Then my husband's like, "Oh wait, back it up! No, those are 3D." They were horrendous. It was disgusting. It was like birds ever. They just were totally ill rendered. It looked like it was from the movie Birds. And it's just so funny when you watch something like this from 50 years ago versus 7 years, just a stylized little beach bird. And that animation is just so beautiful and just like, I mean, it's just miles high compared to something that had a lot of technology thrown at it, but it was just like rendered so poorly. It's just interesting.
I agree. I think it's in a way that we've made things much, much easier than they used to be. We've just lost a lot of quality, you know? Like that fashion show, they viewed those birds as kind of a throwaway thing. But for this, even though this is a short animation and stuff like that, it's like it was the process and everything was so difficult that it had to be revered. It couldn't be just like a throwaway thing. It would be way too expensive, it'd be way too time intensive for them to cut corners and be lazy on. But now it's like,
yeah, that's true.
Anybody can make a crappy CGI bird, and they're just like, whatever, this is good enough.
Yeah, so they call up the house. They're like, hey, do it for $500. We want these little birds going across the screen. You're like, fine, we hate you. You're not paying us a lot. You a week when it takes us normally a month, but sure. I bet that's how it went down.
Something
yeah, you're
like
right. It's
that.
probably much more intensive back then, so it was a lot more when they went to go do something like that, it was probably they took more care with them. But,
Definitely. You want me to hit play again?
yeah, I'm sorry. I was just going off on a tangent. I'm like, ugh, like talking. Okay.
It's okay. It's totally fine. The water is like a net.
Whoa! I love the little superhero guy. Yeah, the net thing's cool.
Ooh. They look so
Gorgeous.
they look haunting. I really like that. Ooh.
The texture doesn't move under them.
I think that's the texture to show it's like underwater, the net texture. It's so
I
cool
don't think
looking.
it's showing. It looks like it's. Yeah.
Ooh. See, she doesn't have it now.
Cool transition. She like came up with the wave. Oh, he's so big and princely. Look at his shoulders and his red.
You know what the people look
And
like?
she
to
likes
me?
red. She's like, ooh, he's my fave color. What do they look like?
I think it looks. The people look reminiscent of a medieval tapestry.
Huh?
They're-
What? They look like what?
I think the people, like the stylization of the people, like when it shows them, because they're mainly 2D, and for the most part they're like to the side or whatever. I think they look like reminiscent in a way of like tapestry, of like maybe a medieval tapestry type deal.
Yeah, they look very medieval.
And then his
Like a pretty
clothing.
medieval render.
Yeah, so I like that too. And by the way, Zero is whining, so I'm sorry if you can hear it.
Like I can't. I don't know if YouTube can.
Well, if YouTube people
Sorry,
can hear
YouTube.
it, I'm sorry.
No. Don't kill all onto them. Oh, okay. Good.
He looks kind of cute, being like, oh, tossed about.
She's like, I'm so thirsty. I'm in all this water. Yeah, I'm so thirsty for you, boy.
Oh yeah, that's really like flat medieval. I really like it.
Yeah, it's a really pretty rendering of that style.
Definitely. Ooh, that's so
Oh,
nice.
Oh, that was awful.
The light reflecting on her looks really nice too.
Mm-hmm. Little. Oh. Well, true, to be honest. I guess they die.
They didn't fight hard enough for their life. The beautiful.
Thing like land birds. For some the animation when she.
What was that cut? So I just want to say, like, I mean, that singing was beautiful and all, but I think we can guess, I guess, from the intro, you know, how it was, like, silly and over the top and kind of cartoony and stuff like that, that, you know, maybe this was aimed at children, but, like, they just, I feel like the actual story, the way they're approaching this Little Mermaid is very, I guess, respectful for, like, children's intelligence and their attention span. Like, they have, like, beautiful opera singing in it, and like everything is so like classy. There hasn't been anything in the actual story that's like, let's rely on like stupid falling down humor or something like that. Like, I don't know if this is actually geared towards children. I feel like it's very respectful towards their intelligence, but maybe it's not. But I like that. I appreciate that.
It seems like it's not geared towards children. It just seems to me like it's not geared specifically for just adult consumption. And that it seems reminiscent of the time of that kind of like, that, oh, everything is like this, and everything has to be prim and proper. Because what year did this come out again? This was 70s though, right? 68?
Yeah,
so I guess they had like the smoking was a really big thing, and they had like the music festivals and the female revolution. We call it. They had a lot of adult stuff. Then I'm trying to think out. Anime was huge, like in America, that we would know. Like what came out then? Because it seems to me very like 1950s almost.
Well, I guess it's hard for us to know,
like it feels
because
we're not Russian.
Yeah, we're not Russian, so we don't really know what their culture was like. As far, we'd have to like research it a little bit more. Snow White, by the way, came out much earlier than the 50s. Snow White came out in like 1950.
Yeah, I know. But see, that's what it makes me think of. But I guess maybe even Snow White, was that technically for children? But then I think of things like Lucille Ball, and that wasn't for children, but that was still. And while her show, I Love Lucy, was a little bit against the norm of the perfect housewife, it was still very tame. Everything was very tame. When did I Love Lucy come out? You know? Did we Google?
Here, I would Google it if you want to know. But if I wanted to think of, in America, cartoons that were coming out in America that were geared towards children, I think Cinderella came out around this time, maybe, like things like that. And then also, but if we're just talking about like TV, you know, they had things like Yogi Bear and all that kind of stuff.
So. Well, don't think just for children. I guess what I'm getting at is, I don't know. I would say that it may not necessarily be geared towards children, even though it seems pretty tame, just because possibly at that time things in general may have been tame. Like how a lot of the time, thinking mostly the 50s, but where like they wouldn't even show husband and wives together. They'd have to sleep in separate beds as if sex wasn't a thing and stuff like that. Or like, even though it seems like it's very simple and they're talking, like even though they're trying to use very simple ideas and stuff like that, and now they're just talking to you and making things very clear, like it still could just be that's what they thought they needed to do whenever they had a show to put on. They're like, this is what everybody else does. It's very tame, upfront culture, and this is what we're used to doing.
Perhaps so. I was just thinking if it was geared towards children, it seemed like, you know, not unintelligent and stuff like that. But maybe you're right in the sense of, you know, I'm not sure when they, you know, animation for children started to get dumbed down. I'm not really sure when that started happening. I'd have to check into that. But are you ready to keep going?
You know, I Love Lucy was in the 50s, so I'm still thinking 50s. So
yeah, 1968, you know, that's towards the end of the 60s. So that's almost 70s. So I would say almost 70s versus the 1950s. That might be
20 years
some
difference.
pretty radical difference here. And by the way, just for everybody, I have another screen to the right that I'm looking at because I can't see my small screen here. So if I'm looking away, that's what's happening. But anyways. It's very gothic inspiring.
Is this like deep a little bit? I wonder. Oh no, they're nice.
Я узнала его.
It's like nuns.
Fiends.
Why are they so terrifying?
It's
Are
Russian.
they just showcasing how, what's her name shows them? Ariel, or sees them? Some hot ass nuns. Kind of terrifying.
Ooh,
Terrifyingly hot.
It's very
and
medieval
somber.
tapestry. I love it. I think it's just it might also be like a girls' school, not like just nuns, but like a traditional like girls' school or something.
Да, уважаемые дамы и господа, это была любовь. Любовь с первого взгляда. Любовь безнадежная и прекрасная. Хотя сама русалочка, разумеется, даже и не знала этого слова. Любовь. И вот тут, дети мои, это зеленое...
I mean, it's more like teenage infatuation, but whatever.
Нечто такое...
Ooh. It doesn't have like the dildo, but it still kind of has like the same like shape as the one in Disney.
Ничего.
I love their hair. It's like seaweed.
Цветы на морском.
Oh yeah.
А небесные птицы. Огонь в снегу. Ничего я не видела. Только его. А не встретила ли ты быстроногих коней? Только сядь и умчат далеко-далеко. А не видела ли ты разноцветных огней? Ничего я не видела, только его.
She's so dramatic.
Ничего я не видела, только его.
Oh my god, teenagers. So dramatic.
She's so dramatic. And he doesn't even know that she saved him, so he doesn't even know she exists.
Ursula.
Здравствуйте, госпожа ведьма.
Ничего ты не видела, только его.
God. Just pure ugly Ursula.
Я все.
She's got none of the style.
Ugh. Whack, whack. Ooh. Music.
Один такой случай с твоей прабабкой. Она тоже влюбилась в человека и захотела
God,
стать
that
как
was an ugly little fish.
Ну что ж,
She's like dragging her down the stairs.
напиток. И она получила вместо прекрасного рыбьего хвоста какие-то дурацкие
Ridiculous supports.
подпорки, которые у людей называют...
Wait, pause it quick. Just wondering if this means anything. Remember in the very beginning when the little people stole one of the supports to the government?
Oh, the government building, yeah.
Yeah, it's just interesting use that language to describe legs, and that I mean, because it was just such a weird moment that they stole a support of the building. I don't know. It's just like why. that it shows them being obnoxious and like just kind of taking whatever. But it's just such an indie. You wouldn't think of stealing that, or like you wouldn't, as an animator, you wouldn't be like, oh yeah, and then they're just gonna take one of the supports in the building. Like, why? I don't know. It's just very interesting to call legs that, and then also have a moment where you have somebody stylistically steal a part of a building that is also the support structure.
That's true. I wonder if like a little bit of the theme is perhaps like just like support and support systems and stuff like that. Maybe a critique on how humans have their support systems set up. Because like I know the story of Hans Christian Andersen's Little Mermaid. Like I know that she leaves everything. Well, you obviously know, even if you watch the Disney version, you know this part where it's like she leaves her whole family, she leaves her people, everything, and her language. She leaves everything behind for this guy that she saw like one time and has never spoken to. And so she's like in a brand new situation for some man with absolutely like no support system and stuff like that. And so she leaves that, and she leaves her tail behind to get these like new human supports, like legs or whatever, but they're completely foreign to her, and it's just like completely out of her element. I don't know. If we go by the Disney version, I have to say like Ariel is by far my least favorite princess, but we're not on the Disney version, we're on the Russian version. But anyways, do you want me to hit play?
A teenager. Yeah, you
I know.
play. I just thought little thing like, oh.
No, that's true, because, like, he stole a call into a building randomly, and then they're like, those ridiculous supports that humans have called legs. So. But wait, her great-great-grandmother did this? So.
Yeah, she was saying one of her.
So that's interesting, because that means that, like, Am I being silly here? How was she born?
Well, that's what I just asked too. How was she born?
Unless it was
she gave birth to she got her man on land. They did the deed. She lived on land the rest of her days, but she gave birth and just was like, let's toss it back in the water.
Maybe she gave birth. Well, it would be like a half human, half mermaid. Unless, could it just be her great-great-grandmother on her... I was going to say on one side of the family, but no, that still doesn't really work, does it? Oh, well, I guess...
What happened? She was forced to marry a Trident guy, and she had babies with him, but then she fell in love with somebody who she liked up on land, and then she left her family.
I do want to let you know that...
She broke her family unit.
There are times when you're still cutting out audio a little bit. For the most part, it's okay, but just giving you a heads up.
Oh, well, I can't do anything about it.
I know. Maybe it is the fact that there's a storm rolling in. I'm not sure. But okay, I'm going to hit play.
Yeah. Okay.
Ты никогда уже не сможешь вернуться на морское дно в свой хрустальный дворец.
Пусть.
А если твой принц возьмет себе в жены другую, то на заре твое сердце разорвется на части.
Be torn into pieces?
That has to be a mistake. Yeah.
What a fitting mistake.
Я возьму самое лучшее, что у тебя есть. У тебя очень красивый голос. Вот его я и возьму.
Пусть.
Мчатся ножки по земной дорожке и туда, и сюда. Хочешь?
Да.
Только будут ножики, словно резать ножки. Каждый шаг боль, каждый шаг боль.
The deal. She was not up front. Undo.
Вот 5
I mean, this sea witch is like trying to talk her out of this at this point. She's like, well, you'll never be able to come back. And the princess.
Doing it at this point.
Huh?
I thought she was already doing it at this point. Is she not?
No,
transforming her right now.
No, she's still like she's still telling her about it, being like, "Are you sure you want this? This and that."
Oh, okay, yeah. You still want the.
Yeah, and it's just like so.
She's like, gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm there. Do it."
Yeah, it's almost like a commentary on how like vulnerable and stupid teenagers are. Maybe I shouldn't say
they're not stupid.
Yeah, no, that's not fair.
When we were that way too, it's just you have a lot of emotion, and it's all encompassing, and it's all you can think about, and you have a lot of strong desires to just go out and do it. I want to be with him. Just do it. I'll just do it.
Yeah, well, part of it too, now that we know, you know, the prefrontal cortex of the brain and stuff, it's basically in charge of like impulse control and like long-term like decision making, like able to see like the long term, and it's actually not developed fully in humans until really late. It's not developed fully until like your late 20s. So like,
oh, I thought you were gonna say one.
No, like your late 20s. It's like 25 to 29 or something like that, like really, really late. And so, you know, teenagers make all these bad decisions impulsively and stuff like that. Like this sea witch is basically like, well, you're going to lose your family and your home. You're going to lose your voice. You're not going to be able to talk to anybody. You're going to be in pain every single day. And, you know, if he marries anyone else, you're going to be, like, destroyed. And she keeps being like, do you want this? Do you want this? And, you know, she's like, I've got no prefrontal cortex. Yes, I can't tell. It'll be fine. It's just like, well, I feel bad for her a little bit, obviously. I just feel bad for teens sometimes. It's like, oh, honey, no.
Is though, I mean, it's a high risk, high reward situation, and it's that time of life where you can easily bounce back from something that you maybe shouldn't have done. But
well, not in this story.
It's a good time to take risks. Not in this story, but I mean, did you have to sit on a rock and turn to stone? I don't know, but I guess we'll find out exactly what happened.
Well, I mean, I understand what you mean in general, though, as a teenager, like, life is a little bit more forgiving for certain mistakes. Not all mistakes, but certain mistakes you can afford a little bit more.
It's fun, and you should take some risks sometimes, and it's a good time. You still have your parents' support. I mean, she's getting it cut off, but I mean, did this ugly fish lady have to enable her? No. She could have taken the option off the table, but she's being irresponsible.
Well,
but like, all right, I'll do it for you as long as you want it.
I guess, though, when this is taking place in the medieval, I'm going to go with, like, a medieval time period setting because of all the art and stuff like that. You know, 15 to 16 is probably considered, like, being an adult more or less, so... But if we're taking it from a modern sensibility, then it's like, yeah, don't offer that to teenagers, please. Don't do that. So, that's true. The only risk, I'm just throwing that out there, that is not worth ever taking as a teen, or probably anybody if you're not ready for this, but please don't take the risk of having unprotected sex. Don't do that. That's the risk you don't want to take as a teenager, because it will not be forgiving to you, most likely.
Oh, that's true.
That is my one caveat.
Yeah. That's a very expensive activity when things go wrong, which they mostly will.
Yes.
Very expensive. Not if you don't even get pregnant. Even, you know, diseases and stuff too. If it's not safe.
But
be careful. Okay.
А дальше, уважаемые дамы и господа, начинается самое прекрасное. Русалочка встретила
Oh, they're all so
своего
enthralled.
принца.
The colors here are absolutely gorgeous, like the blue and the gold.
She's gorgeous.
Девушка. Кто?
Look at those little legs.
Ты похожа на
Big,
ту,
big chicken leg. Or, yeah,
кто
chicken leg
спасла мою
arms.
жизнь.
Oh, he did see her.
Я как будто сквозь сон
And this is where she needs to pull out a whiteboard
и
and start
услышала.
writing.
Yeah, like, oh, you did see me.
И особенно песню.
They're
she
almost
can't
anime
figure out.
looking. You know, like they have those big,
The
beautiful
big eyes.
eyes and the pointed little chins.
Она,
And the little cute noses.
впрочем, может быть, ты не
Ах.
она?
So pretty though.
Ты молчишь. Ты
Lose her voice. Laryngitis or something.
Right, there's
Like,
no
come
way.
on.
все равно
Or
ты
Mr. Prince.
прекрасна.
I just love that sun thing.
Если б только ты
Wow, I love how Prince will instantly kneel for beauty.
видеть,
It's all that matters.
слышать тебя, быть с тобою, мой принц.
The visual motifs in this are just so pretty.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Aw, look at them floating.
he's a little bit like, oh, okay, so you're not the girl that saved me? Okay, but you're hot, so I'll marry you anyways, maybe? But I guess we'll see.
They're sailing again, as is usual. It's his hobby. That's what they're gonna do. They have Pegasus now? What do they have with Pegasus? I guess they have all the mythical creatures.
I was gonna say, if they have mermaids, they can have Pegasuses, I suppose. Or maybe it's just a metaphor for their orgasms.
Oh shit. So
Ooh.
oh my god.
That is so medieval looking. Ooh.
Sexy dark horse. Bye, sexy dark horse.
Это пишет
Да.
отец. Почему-то я должен поехать в соседнее царство
Oh, is he gonna be forced to marry somebody else?
королю и принцессе.
Oh, first to present myself to the princess and king.
Представьте,
That's right.
ведь мне все равно только ты, мое чудо, нужна. Ты одна.
I love how long
Yeah, go
and
with
thin their hands are.
Что за буря была? Все погибли. Лишь я не погиб. До сих пор не пойму, как сумел я спастись.
Stop, baby. Stop it, baby.
Big old bell ball. Oh. Oh my gosh, they try to make her look oafish.
Он уже здесь.
I don't think that's the princess. Oh, is it?
Он поднимается по лестнице.
Oh my gosh, they try to make them all as ugly as possible.
Принцесса! Идите скорее! Вы же еще не одеты.
Oh, it was just
Okay,
a
it's not the
servant.
princess. You were right.
Zero cannot decide where he wants to be.
She's beautiful.
Well, I'm pretty sure the princess is
To be
that
like-
girl.
He's not. I'm hoping he's not being forced into it. I hope it's kind of like this like thing where it's like, see, you shouldn't have just done that because he'll just leave you for another woman.
Men so unreliable. Lol.
It was so quiet. Can we cut out the sound for her too?
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you want me to turn the sound up?
No. I just mean it was really cool when they went to her, when it was kind of her turn to speak or something, and it was just everything went quiet. All the background noise too.
That's true. Kind of mirroring her state. That gothic music. Ooh, she's moving.
Oh no! It's the one that looks like saved him.
Yeah, he's gonna think she's the one who saved him.
Здравствуйте, принц.
Это ты? Да. Я вижу теперь...
Not the mermaid, but the nun lady, who wasn't actually a nun.
She's a princess.
Ты нашла меня, помнишь?
My Shalami.
Мы
Oh,
с
God,
тобой
I'm really-
отыскали ее. Я думаю...
No, I'm not very glad. I wanted to be with you. Did you see it recoil? Away from her? Ah.
It's pretty darn sad. Look, she has to carry her
What a
dress. Oh my gosh.
Wow. I'm
So,
glad that they're showing him being a dickhead. Because, like, yeah.
I just think it's like super messed up that he brought her here and he was all like, oh, I love you. We're going to be together for sure. Like, I just have to do this. It's a formality. And then he drops her like a sack of potatoes as soon as he's like, this is the girl that saved me. And, okay, to add insult to injury, she's having to carry the train of her dress on her wedding day, which is like her execution day, basically. Like, that's so rude. Like, you know she loves you. Don't make her carry the dress. That's...
Maybe the prince is also 15. I mean, this is...
That's still rude.
I mean, what do you expect? Like, he liked her when he couldn't have the person he would prefer, but then as soon as the person he preferred was there, and it's not just because he's a guy or a prince or whatever, it's like, I mean, people can do shitty things all the time.
I guess
It's realistic. So
don't ever let yourself be someone's like settle. Don't ever like let someone be like they settle for you. Like, you need to be someone's top choice.
And don't give up everything. Don't
For
put
someone.
all your eggs in one basket. Don't lose yourself and sell yourself and everything about you just to be with somebody.
Well,
That's
and you know
sad.
what? One of the biggest things for me is like, if she just knew how to write, like, I think this is the importance of literacy. The importance of literacy. Because, like, if she could have, like, been able to write, all she'd have to do is, like, write to him and be like, I'm the girl that saved you. I lost my voice saving you. And she could even, like, you know, talk about the details of the wreck and, like, how she saved him to prove that it was her. And she could even talk about the songs she sang and stuff because he, like, remembers some of it. So he'd be like, oh, it is you, and all that kind of thing. But freaking illiterate bum over here can't write anything, so, you know.
It's all about intelligence, people.
So education is important, apparently. Apparently.
True. It opens doors, including
right.
in your love life.
Such a wishy-washy prince. Like, who cares if she saved you? Maybe,
Yeah,
like,
but people are, especially if they're young. I mean, like, people
Yeah.
do this kind of stuff all the time. Which I think is why it's a good story, because it's sad and messed up. And you know what? A lot about life is sad and messed up.
you know, and
Like,
it's
oh,
even-
you, like, and I, oh, sorry, you can go ahead.
Oh no, it's okay, but it's like you're kind of right in the sense of like he's kind of been a dick from the very beginning because like let's think about it. He saw her and he was just like, "Oh man, you're hot." He's like, "You're a hottie." She can't speak. Apparently, she can't write and all that. It's like, does he know anything about her at all? Probably not. But he was like, "I'm so in love with you because you listen. You're so quiet. I can just talk to you and tell you about everything I want to talk about." Like, I don't know. She was just like a hot vessel.
He just loved her. Well, no, yeah, he just loved her because he's hot, but she just loved him because he's hot.
That's well, she I guess saved him, so that kind of like gave her this like emotional bond, like it was meant to be because I saved him or something like that. But his
but
I mean,
she saved him because he's hot. Probably she liked him because he's hot. She gave him everything because he's hot. He's young.
Yeah.
He's hot.
Well, her little song did mention that he was beautiful and the beautiful deserve to live and they shouldn't die. But it also said the brave should deserve to live and should. Yeah, it was like the beautiful should not die. The beautiful should live. But then it also said the brave should live and the brave should not die as well. So I guess like I feel like she just projected hard on him.
Beauty and bravery go hand in hand.
Yeah,
hell yeah, they project onto each other.
Definitely so. So I just still
can't.
But no,
I'm so glad. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's you. It's your turn. Your turn.
Okay. Well, I'm just so glad that like they didn't demonize the other kingdom. They really were starting to. They're like, look at all these ugly people. We're gonna draw them with the ugliest features that we can think of and make them look gross and stupid and like. But they didn't do that for the princess. So it really was just the prince's choice and his actions, and it has nothing to do with like being forced into it or other people being awful and them being awful because they're ugly and that, or like their outside showcasing their inside or anything like that, and what their actions are. Just no, you think it will be, and maybe that's what it was trying to do. Is trying to trick the viewer into be like, yeah, he's gonna hate it. It's gonna be awful, and you're like, wait, no, she's actually beautiful. He's just gonna not choose you because he doesn't want you.
Maybe so. Part of the gothic music though, the like intimidating like music and kind of like the uncanny way in which they had her move and her black clothing. I feel like it wasn't necessarily villainize her, but she almost seemed like a bit of a caricature of death. Like, she just seemed very gothic and a little bit like an omen of death. And it's like, death is not necessarily bad or villainous either. It's just like something that happens that we would rather not happen and stuff like that. And I guess she was just like symbolizing that, the princess,
to Ariel, she's her death.
Yeah, the Little Mermaid and stuff like that, that, like, this is doom. Like, this is your doom. You are doomed. Like, I'm not necessarily a bad person. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with me, but, just, I happen to be the harbinger of your doom. Or really, it's the prince, I guess. So, but yeah, I guess we can go on.
That woman represented doom for her and doom for their relationship. I don't know. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because they were obviously very nice even from the beginning. Like, they had, like, that gothic castle, and you were like, oh my god, it's evil. And then all the little nuns came out who aren't actually nuns, and you're like, oh yes, they're definitely evil. And then, oh wait, no, then like they're saving the guy.
Yeah, they were just, like, intimidating.
А если твой принц возьмет себе в жены другую, то на заре твое сердце разорвется на части.
Will be thorns to
превратишься в морскую пену.
This is sad. It's like such ultimate regret. Ooh, I liked that transition.
Yeah, it was a cool transition.
Она прелестнейшее создание.
What a jerk.
Oh.
Oh my god, no, she's not on the ship. Don't do it. She didn't sing it, ho.
Разве я пела?
Yeah.
Я не помню.
The princess is simping. Or the mermaid, I mean.
Well, she's an underwater princess, right? Or is she not originally?
Сестрица, слушай, сестрица, мы все знаем, и мы отдали госпоже ведьме все, что у нас было, все наши украшения и короны.
They gave their hair, too.
И наши дивные косы. Все отдали мы, чтобы только избавить тебя от смерти.
Oh.
Aw, her family didn't abandon her, even
Turn
though
her
she...
to stone.
Осторожно! Здесь спрятана буря. Прежде чем поднимется солнце, ты должна открыть этот сосуд. И вырвется буря, и потопит корабль принца
Oh, but she chooses not to do it even. Her family sacrificed so much for her.
Стать русалкой, но спеши, спеши, или они должны погибнуть.
Oh, she's gonna choose him over her family again.
Выхода
I
нет.
mean, it is murder, though. I don't know.
Сестрица, скоро поднимется
She doesn't, yeah, she doesn't feel right killing them.
свою пену. Спеши.
They're both so beautiful and brave. She just can't do it.
Well, it was, I guess, here.
But it doesn't seem like it's about murder. It seems like she's just still in love with him.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, she obviously had a lot of regret, but I guess in a way, I mean, I would like to think that maybe she realized, like, she made all these choices and he wasn't even involved in it. Like, she's the one who decided to make this, like, really terrible deal with, like, a sea witch and stuff like that, even though the sea witch warned her, like, again and again and again and again, if things don't go your way, like, you're gonna die. And she was like, I'm gonna do it anyways.
Which is pretty likely.
Yeah.
That's true. And while he was a jerk about what he did and that he was just like, alright, bye, and like kind of repulsed away from her and was like instantly into this other chick, it's like he has every right to just go be with somebody else. That's true. It's just he went about it a little jerkish, but
That's true. Like, she never,
I mean,
she
he
went
gets
into
to be
this.
fickle.
Yeah, they weren't married.
Yeah, it was her.
And stuff like that. They were young. You know, she projected onto him. She didn't even know how he would feel about her. She only knew how she felt about him. She made this deal, and it's like, you know, it was a bad choice. It was a bad choice, and now she was going to pay for it. And it's kind of like if she did choose to kill them, because that's what it would be like she's killing these two, this prince and princess, to escape the consequences of her own actions, her own choices and stuff. And it's like they really weren't complicit in it, and they really didn't do anything, but it would just be like she would be killing them just to escape, like, her own bed she made. Are you talking?
But so far, yeah. But so far, it doesn't seem that the animation is showing that aspect of it. I mean, maybe they will, but it really just seems like, no, I still am in love with him, and I don't care that my family gave up everything for me. I love him. We're on a Pegasus together.
I mean, that's true.
It just seems like I don't want to because he's pretty.
I mean, that is another aspect to it where it's like, you know, she did abandon her family for this guy that she didn't know. She totally abandoned them. So it shows, like, her priorities. Her priorities were getting this guy over having, like, a relationship with her family. And then her family still loved and cared about her.
Is.
Yeah, and her family still, like, loved her, though, and, like, you know, they gave up everything they could for a chance to save her. It is true in the sense of maybe, you know, maybe this animation and maybe the original story is not showing that, you know, it would be wrong for her to kill them because she would be escaping the consequences of her own actions and murdering two people that had, like, no, like, they didn't affect
Nothing
her
to do
choice.
with it, yeah.
Right. Like, that would be wrong. You're right that it seems like it's definitely, like, focusing on the fact that, you know, she has feelings for him and she loves him and stuff. But in a way, they could kind of go together because it's like he was a jerk to her. In a way, like, he was like recoiled from her and, you know, all that kind of thing kind of broke her heart. It would be pretty easy if you wanted to be, like, vindictive, to be like, yeah, that's right, like, you're not gonna love me and choose me and I really saved you, well, forget you, or whatever. But either way, we know she's not gonna choose to kill them, so.
It seems like she's choosing, like, it seems like so far that the choice she's gonna make, like, I think story-wise, like, yeah, absolutely, like, you know, she shouldn't be able to escape her consequences and da-da-da-da, and this is, like, her not escaping it. But I think so far, it's just showing her choosing not to because she's just lovey from him and nothing else.
But, I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. Let's hit play again.
It hits her sister on the head. Nope.
I love their sons.
Сестрица моя.
My sister? Oh my god, he calls her his sister now? She wasn't friend zoned, she was sister zoned.
Well, I guess that's how they did it in the medieval days.
Oh, is he gonna realize?
Oh, that's pretty messed up.
Is she gonna be singing Seafoam? Where's he coming from?
Let's see.
Beautiful should not perish.
They should not die.
Should not, they should not.
His little
Так значит,
legs.
все-таки ты вспомнил ту песню.
Like,
Oh my god.
no justice. No justice for the Little Mermaid.
Эта история, дети,
Wow, they're like misery, misery, misery.
глупая русалка.
She truly loved him though, because she let him go. She said, F all to my family.
Как говорится, каждый
Or she was
бычок
obsessed, like infatuated.
знает свой крючок.
That's true.
I like these juxtaposition of like the pictures moving the layer.
Уважаемые дамы и господа, история. Очень печальная и очень прекрасная. Это история о
Aw.
любви, которая не знает преград, о мужестве и доброте,
Wisdom?
о
It's like-
мужестве.
It is wise to not do the things in this story.
That's true. It's like a
People aren't even
cautionary
gonna
tale.
notice you.
Don't simp
They're
after
not
a
gonna know
guy.
everything you've done. I think the moral of the story is don't. That's what I got out of it.
Yeah, it's a cautionary tale. It's definitely like, I feel like being like, don't be a freaking simp for someone you've never talked to before. Like, don't project. But so do you know the original story by Hans Christian Andersen?
Well, I thought it was she just turned to Seafoam.
Okay, so the original story, they actually give her a knife, and they're like, you have to stab the prince and his princess tonight while they sleep. You have to like stab them in the heart and stuff like that, and then like,
Says that. Is it her family? Wait, sorry. Can you hear me?
yes,
Is it her family that asked her to? Okay, so wait, is it her family
yes, it's her family. Her family.
that asked? Okay.
They go to the sea witch, and then they go to her, and they're like, hey, the sea witch gave us this knife. She said if you stab the prince and the princess, then like the blood will fall on your legs and they'll become a tail again, and you can be a mermaid again, and stuff like that, and to prevent you from becoming sea foam.
You can just cook them a little blood. Does it have to be like what
She
were
said,
the contingencies? What was
I mean-
outlined in the contract?
I do believe the contract was like you have to like murk them. You've got to frickin' murk them. So, you know. But, yeah. And she couldn't do it. She goes in there with the knife and she sees him sleeping all peaceful. And she's like, I can't murder him. It's wrong. And then she throws herself into the ocean and she becomes sea foam. However, in the original Little Mermaid, it's like stated that mermaids do not have souls. Like, they don't have souls, so when they die, they're just dead. Like, they're gone. And then, but because of the Little Mermaid, like,
Sacrifice?
yes, because of her sacrifice, she basically becomes a spirit, and she's able to like go through the air with like the other like wind spirits, and she's able to like do good, and after like so many years she gains a soul, and then she's able to go to heaven and stuff like that, so she's not like just like dead.
It's a good story.
Yeah,
it's a really happy story in a way. It's like a somber but happy story.
Yes, and actually the I'm not sure how true this is, but this is what I've heard, is that Hans Christian Andersen wrote this story as like a coming out like tale, like he wrote it in a letter to as like a love letter to this man he loved and stuff like that. Like he was the Little Mermaid, like Little Mermaid was Hans Christian Andersen, and like he was like telling him he loved him.
And I'm letting you go.
Yeah, kind of like
I love you, but I know you won't be with me, so I'm gonna let you go and be happy.
Kind of, and then
which is true love, I would say, letting somebody go. So,
and then also I think like maybe Hans Christian Andersen, like, because you know he lived in a time where, you know, homosexuality wasn't accepted, so it was like, you know, the Little Mermaid loved that guy, but she couldn't have him, but she found redemption, and so it was kind of like him being like, oh, I want to like find redemption for myself or something like that, which I'm not sure how true all of that is, but that's what I originally heard, and that gives kind of like some more depth to it and all. It makes me feel really sad for Hans Christian Andersen if that's the truth. And in fact, why don't we look it up? Why don't we look it up?
Well, even if we do look it up, like, what's the source, I guess?
It might be just well-known knowledge at this point.
I feel like sometimes, but then sometimes you get historical facts that aren't really facts, and sometimes it's just debatable whether something did or didn't, but I guess we won't know until Friday. Hi.
That's true. We'll have to see.
I feel like it's gonna...
I'm just looking in the Wikipedia real quick, which might not, you know, be a good source.
That makes it a lot more beautiful. The fact that, because it was nice that she like let them go and didn't let them die, but in this take with the Russian animation, there was just I feel like such a big emphasis on her abandoning her family and everything like that. But I guess in that one too, in the original, you said it was still her family who gave the knife. Did they have to sacrifice in order to get the knife? I assume so, right?
Yeah, I think they had to give up their hair and stuff like that still.
Maybe it was just the author coming to terms with the fact that even though my family wants me to be different, I can't. I still love who I love, and I can't change that. I can't be mean to that person. Oh, that's so sad.
There's actually some debate,
like
apparently, about which ending is, like, the best or something like that. Like, there's, like, some different...
The best or the most authentic, as in the one he wrote?
Let's see here. Debate over ending. Well, there's the one with the Daughters of the Air, which, like, the air spirits, and they can earn souls by doing 300 years worth of good deeds at the end of the story, and they explain that to the Little Mermaid, or whatever, that they do as many good deeds for humankind as they are able, so that at the end of those years, they can receive an immortal soul and take part in the happiness of mankind. And stuff, and that since the Little Mermaid refused to kill the prince and has spent so much time in pain while still doing good things for men, she has raised herself to the spirit world and can participate in the 300 years of good deeds alongside the Daughters of Air. And then...
You know, though, this is really interesting, too. Just because, like, for Han Christensen, I'm assuming his family was probably Christian or religious in some way. I would think most people were at that time. And like for him, he definitely would not be going to heaven because he was gay. Like that would just be what the I mean we still have a lot of people in Christianity who think that if you're gay you're not going to go to heaven and it's a sin.
Right.
So in this story, the character who has this love that they shouldn't have or whatever, but lets it go and but still can't release it entirely, that she still gets to go to heaven. That's really sad. Like it's his way almost of being like, I still get to go to heaven because I'm being good and I'm letting my relationship that I want to have. I guess. I don't know. It's just sad. It's just sad in general. Yeah. But that's something that he had to even think about and write into his story in any way.
I have to say though, I'm just doing a skimming of this page, and I'm not seeing. I mean, this is only Wikipedia. You know, you can't cite Wikipedia in a college paper for a reason, I guess. And it's not coming up.
Right.
It's not coming up that it's like that this was like a love letter he wrote. So, but I mean, maybe there's like, what is the real story? Yeah, I don't know. I'm actually not seeing anything. I wonder if that means that.
Well, here's something from. Well, there's something here from like Book Riot, which I don't know how good of a source they are, but they're talking about it. I don't know yet what they're saying, but they're discussing the queer coding of the original animated The Beauty and the Beast and The Little Mermaid, or Howard Ashman. Queerness, Hans Christian Andersen, and The Little Mermaid.
Is that a YouTube video?
But this is talking about the animated versions. No, this is an article. Which is puzzling because the original fairy tale by Hans Christian Andersen is one of the saddest gay love letters of all time. Scholars agree that Andersen was biromantic and possibly ace many intimate letters to his friend Colin, but sent only a few of them. One reads, I long for you, yes, this moment I long for you, as if you were a lovely girl. No one have I wanted to thrash as much as you, but neither has anyone been loved so much by me as you. Aww.
Thrash, oh my.
Colin admitted in his own writings that he was unable to return Andersen's feelings. All unrequited love. In 1836, under some pressure from his family, Colin married. Andersen escaped to the island of Finn at the time of the wedding, where he wrote the tale he would later send to Colin, a fairy tale about a mermaid who didn't belong.
That makes me think...
But I don't know how true this is.
Yeah, I would have to... I mean, I remember reading things like that. In college, I did a project, and it was about, like, fairy tales and their origins. And one of the things that was interesting is a lot of the fairy tales in their origination were a lot more progressive than we would think. Like, a lot of them were kind of, like, female empowering, and they weren't what we think. And then as the Grimm brothers, like, collected a lot of them, they changed them to, you know, be more patriarchal. And then also, one thing that would happen would be, like, if we look at the tale of Little Red Riding Hood and things like that, it was, and Cinderella, the peasant folklore version was different than the version that was collected by the nobles. Like, the nobles didn't like how empowering it was to women and stuff like that. It was really, like, only the rich class that was super sexist towards women because they had more time for leisure. They weren't fighting as hard to survive. Whereas, like, the poorer class of people, they were struggling to live. They were struggling to survive. And so they valued basically everybody in the community. Like, women weren't seen as less than. They were seen as vital. They were seen as, we need them to survive. And so their fairy tales kind of reflected that. And that makes me wonder a little bit, because I remember, like, it touching briefly on some things about Hans Christian Andersen, but I wasn't doing my project on him, so it didn't, like, stick in my mind as well. But it makes me want to be able to read the original tale of the Little Mermaid, because this interpretation, this Russian interpretation, it kind of focused more on just like the Little Mermaid being obsessed with the prince. It didn't focus on anything like, and all these other things are talking about how the Little Mermaid wasn't just obsessed with the prince, she was obsessed with the other world. Like, she really wanted to know more like that, which is more like the Little Mermaid, you know, the Disney version and stuff.
True.
And so, like, one of these things here is talking about the main character's intense longing for a place in the world where, you know, she is dealing with themes of alienation, unrequited love, and it's, like, touching on religion and stuff. Like, she's not fitting in with the religion. And so that would kind of go with Hans Christian Andersen feeling like, I guess, a duck out of water. Like, he's not fitting in. He doesn't belong here because, like, he's gay or whatever. But I would have to just look into it a little more. But, I mean, I can see how it would be there. It's very easy to see. So I would just need to research a little more to make sure that that was right. And read the original version. I would like that, too. So, interesting stuff, though, for sure.
From very, like, it's almost a pretty shallow animation. I mean, it's gorgeous, but it's very,
it's one-dimensional.
I don't know, it was very one-dimensional. There wasn't, like, character development. Like, nobody really talked. They sang a little bit. I guess they did talk a teensy bit, but they were like, hey, you're hot.
Yeah.
So, don't hurt yourself.
That actually makes me take back.
Like, yeah, you're hot.
Remember when I was like, I feel like this animation is, you know, not insulting the intelligence of children. I kind of take that back now, because it was very one-dimensional. It was very surface-level fairy tale going on, and if anything, they might have dumbed it down and taken out any, like, ambiguity and gray areas of it. So it was absolutely a delight to look upon. It was visually just gorgeous, and the soundtrack was beautiful too. But other than that, you know, I don't think there was a lot to it. Like, I would love to have stills of it, you know, printed on my wall. I can appreciate it for the piece of art that it is, but story-wise, it's not great.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It is just very shallow. But, I mean, it could just be because they weren't trying to make a super long animation, so they were just sticking to surface level stuff, because it is so time consuming. I don't know, but then you have other Russian animators, like the guy who made the hedgehog thing, and, like, that one's really long, isn't it? I remember it being an hour. Am I wrong about that, though? You know?
I don't think it was an hour long, no, but it was visually very interesting, and it had a little more depth to it. I was able to... My husband's home. I was able to write a paper on it back in the day and kind of dissect it, so there was, like, more going on there for sure, but, and at the same time, you know, the more that I think about it, it's okay for things to be shallow. It's okay for things to be one-dimensional. It's okay to just be like, I just want to make a one-dimensional fairy tale where I focus on the art and the story is light. Well, light. She died. But...
yeah. In, like, the sense that it's not like modern stories where we can, like, really get in depth with the characters. It's not like, you know, like Breaking Bad, where you can have an hour-long episode and really delve into each character every time. And we're used to having Netflix and series and stuff like that. It was like a short animation. I mean, it's just, and there is a lot there. I mean, like, you have things that you could talk about. You could talk about their different actions, like the motivations behind them, what the consequences were and all that stuff. And so it's not entirely one-dimensional. I don't know. End of thought.
But could it just be that we have a habit of dissecting things and overthinking things, even when maybe the artist didn't have...
We already know we do.
Yeah, we definitely do. So maybe the artist didn't even intend all that. The director, Ivan Aksenchuk.
Well, and you know, the more ambiguous something is, you can you can project more into it. Like, you can get more out of it. Like let's take, for instance, the end of The Giver. You know, like, you don't know what happens at the end, but because of that, you're able to think about, well, what did happen? What could have happened? What do I think happened? What do I want to have happened? Like, what in the story leads up to what potentially did? What's most likely? Like, so sometimes ambiguity can be good. Something more one-dimensional can be good in the sense that it lets the viewer fill in the rest of the details. Like, shoot, I never actually watched the whole movie, but that scene from not Saw, but like the drug dealers, and they're all, is it Vice City? They're in like Vice City, and they're all like dealing cocaine. And there's the guy in the bathroom, and he's like, they're chopping his arm off with a chainsaw, and like, but they don't show it. And because they don't show it, it's freaking gruesome. Because like they cut out, they show a little bit of it, of him in the bathtub about to get his arm chopped off, and they like cut to a shot of like the bedroom, or they cut to the window outside, and you hear the screaming, you hear all the horrible things happening. And because of that, you're not able to see it, you fill in all these awful details. You imagine the worst thing that could happen to this guy, and then there it is. So instead of just showing it verbatim, like, oh, it doesn't look that bad, or oh, it looks a little fake, or oh, you know, sometimes your imagination can come up with the worst things, or it can explore. There's a lot more variety possible when you leave it to somebody's imagination.
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about. That's just like the idea of less is more, or leaving things to the imagination being a powerful tool, like knowing when to stop. And that's that can go into a whole another topic. That's where, like, for me, the concept of the horror genre really comes into play. Because most of what makes horror movies or horror video games or anything like that scary is not seeing, the unseen. That's like what scares you.
The unknown.
Yes, and stuff like that. And most of the time when they reveal whatever it is, such a letdown. It's a huge letdown. And, if anything, sometimes it becomes unscary. And that's just disappointing. But that could be its own thing. We could probably talk about like the concept of how to be scared without actually seeing things forever, its own video. So I don't think I'd want to jump into that. But yeah, I understand what you mean in the sense of like also with just lore in movies and things like that. I feel like it comes up a lot with, as silly as it sounds, like anime. Like, there are animes out there that are just not well written, and they're not that deep. Like, the author didn't think that well. Dragon Ball Z is one of them. Look, I grew up on Dragon Ball Z. I love Dragon Ball Z. But, half the time he forgot what was going on. He forgot his own lore. He contradicted himself. Like, there was not, it's just the truth. But as a kid and a teenager, and my sister did this too, we loved Dragon Ball Z so much, and we would like read into their relationships and the romance aspect of it so much. There was like no romance there. There was no substance. Oh, by the way, Brooke, I can't hear you if you're speaking. I guess you're not.
I was talking to the kitty cat. Sorry, I was calling him over.
Oh, okay.
Hey, bye-bye.
But I remember we would like take any tiny little bit of affection shown between like Bulma and Vegeta or Goku and Chi-Chi, and we would run with it and we would dissect it, and we'd be like, yeah, see, he's a good husband and he really cares about her because one time he turned away and blushed. And it was just like, there was nothing there. We were just seeing what we wanted to see in it. And I guess that's also the concept of like these Twilight books and things like that, where the main character is so bland.
Bella.
Yeah, Bella is so bland and so uninteresting that you can project.
Oh, what's his name? What's his name?
Edward?
Halo, like Halo.
Master Chief
Master Chief always has the helmet, so you always get to imagine who you want in there. And like, what's the other one with Shepard. So with Shepard, and then there's that chick from the first game. I've never actually played the first one.
Mass Effect?
With Shepard. Yeah, Mass Effect. With the chick who has the mask on. And people love her too because they get to imagine whoever they want. They're like, hot, sexy voice. This is what I imagine to go with. She's amazing. She's my favorite.
Tolly.
Yeah. What do you want?
Your cat is freaking
Tolly.
out.
Oh, can you hear him?
I can.
What's up, baby boy? Oh, let me.
Show Stan. He's a very cute little toasted marshmallow. Well, I think perhaps
like, I don't know.
This is a good place, I think, to, stop this talk about The Little Mermaid, because we're getting farther and farther off topic of the animation in The Little Mermaid. So I would say that conversation's pretty done. But yeah, this is our very first video. We're sorry if we rambled a bit or got off topic. That tends to be how we are. So,
if you actually watch this, cool. And we'll make more in.
Yeah, I would really love to.
See, if you actually watch this, comment down below. We're definitely going to be reading them. The few amount that there are.
If you get like
Let us know what you like or whatever, or you want us to go. Maybe
true.
Maybe we'll do. Maybe we won't. I don't know.
You could always.
We don't want a lot of pressure.
They could always suggest topics or shows or movies or something they want us to check out that they think would be interesting. So if you have anything you want to watch, we would really like to watch some anime series and do them like maybe episode by episode, have a nice little breakdown and review, because this is what we do when we get to hang out, which is only like once a year. So it'd be great.
Yeah.
But okay.
It's good to do it more often.
It's good to hang out, Brooke. I'll see you
Smash
later.
that subscribe button for us hanging out.
I think I just started sweating.
Smash that button.
Getting embarrassed. I'm like, oh gosh.
I'm so glad I don't have to edit this video. Tristan's doing it because I would not be able to.
Well, I don't even know,
it would never be posted.
That's another thing too. It's like, what should I cut out? Should I leave in all of the talking we did that was off topic? I don't know. Well, whatever. I need it in this video.
Bye.
Okay? Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah.